Before we begin, a content warning. This episode includes sensitive material involving child abuse, the death of a child sexual exploitation, and discussion of a woman's death under potentially violent circumstances. These topics can be deeply upsetting. Please listen with care, or choose to skip this episode if that feels best for you. The next case is one that feels brutally modern. A young mother disappears. The evidence stays mostly circumstantial. The public learns the family's private life in excruciating detail. And then the story takes a turn so catastrophic that it permanently blocks the clean ending people expect from a true crime narrative. This is the disappearance of Susan Powell. She vanished from West Valley City, Utah, in December of 2009. And even though the case is often discussed like it has an obvious answer, it remains unsolved in the most literal sense. Susan's body has never been found. Her fate was never conclusively determined in court, and the one person publicly identified as a central person of interest, her husband, Josh Powell, died before he could ever be charged or tried. Susan Powell was born in 1981. By the time she disappeared, she and Josh had two small children, Charlie and Braden. Those names matter because the Powell case isn't just about a disappearance. It's also about what came after: custody battles, cross-state jurisdiction issues, and finally, a 2012 event that redefined the entire story. The last confirmed sighting of Susan by someone outside the family was on December 6, 2009, when a neighbor visited. After that, the timeline depends heavily on Josh Powell's account. He said that after midnight, early December 7th, he left the house and took the children on a winter camping trip while Susan stayed home sleeping. That claim became one of the immediate pressure points on the investigation because it's such an unusual choice, leaving in the middle of the night in winter with two young kids. And when people looked at it alongside everything else that happened that day, it didn't feel like an innocent detail. It felt like the beginning of a story someone wanted to control. The missing report began to crystallize when a daycare provider couldn't reach the parents. Police entered the Powell home and described something that has stuck in public memory: fans blowing on a wet spot. It's the kind of detail that, on its own, doesn't prove anything. But in a case like this, it becomes part of the atmosphere, part of why suspicions harden so quickly. Josh returned with the children on the evening of December 7th and was questioned by police. Early searches focus on the area Josh described, Simpson Springs and the West Desert. But investigators reportedly found no evidence of the campsite as he described it. Search warrants followed quickly. A warrant was executed on December 9th, and items were taken from the home, including computers. Over time, reports and unsealed materials would also reference blood evidence and life insurance policies on Susan. Details that made the case feel less like a missing person mystery and more like a suspected homicide investigation, without the one thing prosecutors typically need the most: a body. Law enforcement in Utah publicly named Josh Powell as a person of interest. He was never charged. And as the case grew, so did the sense that the investigation wasn't only about one man's actions. It was also about the environment around him. A major complication was geography. Josh moved with the children to Washington in the Puyallup area to stay with his father, Steve Powell. From that point on, the story sprawls across jurisdictions. West Valley City Police in Utah investigating Susan's disappearance, while Washington's courts and child welfare system became responsible for decisions about the children. Steve Powell became a major figure in public coverage as well, especially after Washington police searched his home in connection with Susan's case and later arrested him on voyeurism and child pornography-related offenses discovered during that process. Those crimes were separated from Susan's disappearance, but they changed how the public understand the family dynamic. And they raised dark questions that's hard to shake in any case like this. Who knew what and when? Another key family member was Josh's brother, Michael Powell. Police suspected he helped conceal Susan's body. In 2013, Michael died by suicide, another event that removed a potential source of answers and deepened the sense that truth might be buried inside the family, not just in the landscape where people searched. By 2011 into 2012, the focus wasn't only on Susan, but on custody. A Washington court granted custody of Charlie and Braden to Susan's parents, Chuck and Judy Cox, and Josh was given supervised visitation. There's a detail from that custody phrase that matter because it shows how complicated evidence can become when family court and criminal investigation overlap. Reporting later described how a computer associated with cartoon pornography played a role in the custody dispute and contributed to a judge ordering Josh to undergo a psychosexual evaluation. But later reporting also said that specific computer did not belong to Josh, that Susan had bought it used months before her disappearance, and analysis suggested the images were downloaded before it entered the Powell household. That kind of misinterpretation, even if unintentional, became part of the controversy around the case. What information influenced the court, what information was misunderstood, and how those decisions may have shaped what happened next. On February 5, 2012, the story hit its most horrifying point. During what was supposed to be a supervised visit, Josh Powell blocked the visit supervisor from entering the home. The supervisor reportedly smelled gas. The house later exploded and burned, killing Josh and both boys. Later summaries and civil litigation described the alleged sequence in stark terms: that Josh locked out the social worker, killed the children with a hatchet, and died in the resulting fire. That moment didn't solve Susan's disappearance, but it did something almost as final. It removed the one person investigators had publicly centered as the person of interest, ending any possibility of interrogation, prosecution, or a trial that might have produced facts under oath. In May 2013, West Valley City Police closed the active investigation and released thousands of pages of case files, while stating they would still pursue new leads. Prosecutors pointed to the same obstacles that haunt so many missing person cases. Without a body, the cause and manner of death can't be definitively established, and the evidence can remain largely circumstantial. One of the most unsettling, still open threads is digital. Reporting through the Cold Podcast Project describes an encrypted Western Digital MyBook World device seized early in the case, with analysis suggesting full disk encryption using TrueCrypt. It's never been fully accessed. The reporting describes continued efforts, volunteers, private attempts, and the possibility of nested or hidden volumes, like a box within a box. If that drive contains location information, plans, or communications, it could change what's known. For now, it remains a locked black box at the center of an already sealed tragedy. And just a side note here, the Cold podcast that's referenced here is fantastic. If you're a fan of true crime podcasts, it's one of the best ones I've listened to. It's just really well done, and it goes into this in way more detail. So I definitely highly recommend it. Even after the criminal investigation slowed, the administrative and legal aftershocks continued. Estate issues, insurance disputes, and the reality that Susan was still legally missing. A 2015 settlement in Utah court left Chuck Cox in control of Susan's estate, with reporting noting he would decide when or if to seek a legal declaration of death. And in 2020, the accountability debate extended into civil court. Como reported that a Pierce County jury found Washington State's agency negligent in relation to the children's deaths and awarded $98 million to the boys' estates, an enormous figure that reflects how intensely the custody and supervision decisions were scrutinized after the murders. Susan Powell's case is widely known, heavily documented, and easy to summarize in a single sentence. But the fact remains that Susan is still missing. Her remains have never been located, and the story, despite all the paperwork, all the searches, and all the attention, still ends with the same unanswered questions of where she is and what truly happened in the space between December 6th and December 7th, 2009.